Welcome to Sidebar, where you vote on the internet's biggest buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my girlfriend it's my money when my ex asked if she could borrow some? Before anyone says anything, my ex is a hardworking mom, and the few times she's borrowed money from me, she always paid me back in full. We also share custody of our 8-year-old daughter. The past months have been very difficult since she lost her job in July. She started getting back on her feet though and found a new job. But today she told me there's a problem with her car's radiator and is stressed because she doesn't have the money to fix it. So I offered to pay whatever the cost is to get it fixed or replaced. Honestly, I make a lot more money and my job is pretty much secure. Spending a little over $1,000 or less depending on what the mechanic says wouldn't affect me at all. My ex swore she would pay me back, and she's taking her car to the mechanic this weekend since her mom is letting her borrow her car for the week only. When I told my girlfriend what happened, she asked me why I didn't talk to her first before offering to pay for her car. I told her it didn't feel necessary to talk to her about it beforehand because this was something my ex needed, and it's not like I'm giving her a lot. Then she asked if my ex even gonna pay me back, and I said off she is because she has before. For whatever reason, she was still bothered over this, so I asked what was wrong. My girlfriend admitted she doesn't like that I'm helping her out when I have no obligation to her and what happens in her life doesn't affect me. Seriously, she was making it sound like I pay all her bills when in reality she's only asked to borrow money twice in the last 6 years when she really needed the help, and it was never more than a few $100. I was starting to get mad by now, and I said what happens in her life affects my daughter, and that does affect me. If she doesn't have a car, she can't work or pick up my daughter. She could lose her job, no longer afford to pay rent where she lives, so my daughter will have to stay with me and not be able to see her mom as often until she gets a new place. My girlfriend tried to argue, but I told her I don't know why we're even fighting about this when it's my money, and if I want to use it to help her out I have a right to. She stopped talking after that, completely caught off guard by what I said, and walked off still mad. We haven't talked in a few hours, and I'm wondering if throwing it at her face that it's my money we're talking about was a bit too far. It's one thing if it was a lot of money that would hurt us financially, but it's literally nothing. But still, was I the butthole? Is OP a butthole? Here is what the Reddit thinks. Not the butthole. You're not just helping a random ex, this is the mother of your child. If she does well, your kid does well. If she needs help or is in trouble, it will affect your kid. Clearly you have a respectful relationship, and she doesn't take advantage of you, and that's the key here. You need to have a chat with your GF if this isn't something she can understand. I don't see this going anywhere because you'll always be tied to your ex, and she needs to get over that. Would I be the butthole if I left a bad review for a vet because of their security guard? I had to take my cat to the 24/7 emergency vet the other day. Don't worry, he's fine. It was dark out and the vet isn't in the best neighborhood, which I guess is why they have security guards there. Due to COVID, you drop off your pet and wait in the parking lot and the doctor calls you. There's no in-person interaction with staff beyond dropping off the pet and receiving the pet at the end. While waiting, I wandered around the parking lot and walked behind the building to a second lot when the doctor called. While I was talking, I suddenly hear, "Put your hands up," hands on the car, and I look up and see a security guard with his gun drawn on me. I immediately put them up and scream, "I'm here for the vet." I'm talking to the vet. He yells back, "Why are you back here? Your car isn't here." I tell him I'm just walking around and my car is out front. He finally yells, "Go back to the front. We've had break-ins here." That's why I drew my weapon. Keep in mind, I still have my phone on while all this is happening. I go back around to the front to wait for my cat. Eventually the vet tech brings out my boy, and it turns out she's a friend of a friend I've met before. We make small talk and then I tell her that the rent-a-cop pulled his gun on me. She's shocked because she didn't even realize they had guns. And she tells me that the gate to the private staff parking lot broke and they just removed the entire section of fence, which is how/why I walked in, so there have been break-ins. She said she's going to tell her manager about it. Though, I thank her and leave. I checked the vet's review page and saw that they respond to a lot of reviews, both good and bad. So I'm thinking of leaving a bad review saying, "Very kind and professional doctors and technicians." Less professional was the security guard who pulled his gun on me in the parking lot because there have been break-ins. 1/5 stars. Would I be the butthole if I did so without first waiting to hear back from the technician if anything happens? Is the poster nothing but a big butthole? The Reddit community has feedback. Is the security guard actually employed by the vet? Or is he from an external security services company and was selected by the security company to work at that location? If he's not an employee of the vet, You are the butthole for leaving a poor review since this is largely out of the vet's control. You can inform them, which you've done, and they can contact the security company about the issue, request a different guard, or even just fire the company and find a new one. If he is an employee of the vet, I'd still wait to see what action they take and expect them to inform you of those actions. Having an employee, even a security guard, pull a gun on a customer could lead to huge liability problems, so I'd hope the vet is extremely concerned and eager to fix this. Am I the butthole for separating a child from its mother? I'm really confused right now. Everything is really raw. The baby is safe and sitting on my lap right now. My wife Nicole and I have been together for 8 years. I loved her. She was my son. I was really happy when I learned that I was going to be a dad. I've always wanted to raise children while Nicole didn't really care. She gave birth to a baby girl Kaya about 18 months ago. I love Kaya. She is my little sweetheart. We are very close. I'm a sod since I work from home and earn decently. Nicole goes to work. Nicole is really into the labor of a kid. She just likes to do the fun stuff. Kay has always been closer to me than Nicole since I feed her, clean her, all that fun stuff. I found out Nicole has been fricking my cousin. They've been on and off for about 2 years. She stopped when she got pregnant and then recently started her affair again. Kay is biologically mine as in cousin is her father. My cousin is an arse and wants nothing to do with children and never really cared much about babies. Kaya. He knew about Kaya possibly being his and just didn't care. He still refused to be her dad after paternity test. I've been depressed since all this came out and Nicole decided to leave our house. She found an apartment and all and was taking Kaya with her. I didn't protest at first because I was distraught about the paternity test and admit got a bit distant with my little nut. Well, they were moving today and I spent a lot of time with Kaya since she was going away and I didn't know when I was going to see her again. I'm struggling the paternity but I can't change that I raised Kaya and she calls me Dada. Nicole made a huge show of leaving and was telling Kaya to say bye-bye to the house and to Dada. Kaya was really confused and she didn't want to leave with Nicole because frankly she doesn't go anywhere alone with Nicole much. Well, Kaya made a fuss and kept shouting Dada and reach out to me. I don't know what came over me but I just took her from Nicole's arms and told Nicole I'm keeping her and that she could leave. Nicole tried to get Kaya from me but Kaya wouldn't budge and kept crying. She finally left and said she'd be back later to get her blood. Her mom is calling me now and saying that Kaya is not mine and it's cruel to separate a child from its mother. However, I can't bear to let Kaya go and she's happy at her home. Her mom doesn't even know what Kaya needs to eat. Am I the butthole? Is the poster a butthole or not? Reddit says, not the butthole. Lure up and apply for custody. Being a dad isn't about blood. Don't however let her mother back into your life and home just so you can have Kaya around. That's what the mom and she are pushing for really. She's happily left the childcare to you until now. She's now using blood to try and force you to let her come back. She cheated with your family for 2 years. She doesn't love or respect you. Am I the butthole for telling my stepdaughter to go ask her real dad when she asked me to pay for her plane tickets? I married my wife at least 12 years ago. She has a 16-year-old daughter, Anna, from her previous relationship, and we have a 7-year-old son as well. From pretty much the beginning of our relationship, Anna and I have never gotten along. I don't know how to emphasize that it is not because of a lack of trying. She just does not like me. When she was young she was just scared of me and afraid I'd tear their family apart. Nowadays it's more of a neutral dislike rather than strong antipathy, so I suppose that's progress. Elise is a stay-at-home mother, so she relies on me for income. As a result, I pay for everything for Anna: food, clothes, volleyball fees, field trips. I take an interest in her hobbies. I go to her games. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I try my dang hardest to be the stepfather I can. But it's so hard. Always giving me curt one-word responses. Always having to have an attitude. She does things to get a rise out of me. Staying out late reeking of booze. Always trying to sneak boys in. Typical rebellious stuff. But I always let her know I love her and I'm there for her in hopes of her shithead teenager phase past. The opposite is true for her biological father. She adores him. Can't tell you why. He never goes to her games. Always makes excuses for why he doesn't want to see her. He forgot her birthday last month and she cried herself to sleep. Well, anyways, Friday, I came to her room to check her phone and read her messages. Not a permanent thing, but she's been caught sneaking out twice in the last month, so this is her punishment. I ask for the phone. She says no. I'm tired of you checking my crap. Leave me alone. I tell her I'm not asking again and she goes, just frick off already. You're not my real dad. You never have been. Stop acting like you can tell me what to do before getting up and slamming the door. Like I said, guys, I'm tired of the blatant disrespect, of being the verbal punching bag while still providing more for her than anyone else in her family. We haven't really talked since until this morning during breakfast. She asked if I could pay for her plane tickets so she could see her boyfriend cross state. Like I said, her mom doesn't work and her dad is a POS, so I normally would be the one to cough up the money. Not this time. I responded, go ask your real dad. I could tell she was hurt. Tears swelled up from her face and she excused herself from the table. My wife took me aside later and said my comment was extremely disrespectful. I said if anything's disrespectful, it's her treating me like a doormat and a credit card, and I will no longer tolerate this treatment in my house. I told her we don't have to be friends, but if she can't at least be cordial to me or respect my position as an authority figure, she can find someone else to pay for her non-essentials. Am I the butthole? Is OP a butthole? Here is what the Reddit thinks. Not the butthole. Maybe your daughter can have a first-hand look at how much words can hurt. I think you should go to her, apologize. Never mind the fact she doesn't deserve it. You're the adult. Be the bigger person, and set firm, fair, and strict rules about behavior going forward. Tell her what you told us, that you don't have to be friends, but you need her to respect your authority, and at least be cordial to each other. Maybe ask her why she doesn't like you. Ask if there's anything you can do to support her better. And most importantly, remind her that you love her and will be there for her. Teenage girls are hard, man. Keep trying. A decade from now, she'll be grateful that you chose the high road. Finally, here's our headline story of the day. Am I the butthole for stealing my friend's baby name? I'm American and my friend is Irish, 26F. We met in college as she studied in the US. I consider her one of my closest and best friends. She was bridesmaid when I got married. Years ago, my friend found out that she can't have kids naturally. It was a really difficult time for her as she has always wanted kids. We have spoken together about our future kids being pen pals, but she says when she is ready for kids now she will adopt. I found out I was pregnant this March and we are so excited. My friend has been very supportive and happy for me, although COVID stopped her from being able to fly out for the baby shower and gender reveal. Last weekend she asked me if I had thought of any baby names, and when I told her we already had chosen our son's name she was extremely upset. We have chosen a traditional Irish name for him. She says I know that she wanted this name for her own son, which is true. But I thought now she was adopting, any child she has will come with their own name. We want to give our son this name, and ask her to be godmother, so she can have a child in her life with this name. She blew up. She said I was being cruel and should have asked her before deciding this. Well, I wanted to surprise her, so of course you can't ask someone, or it will ruin the surprise. She said the name has precious meaning to her and her family and we have no right to have this name as we are not Irish. But actually my husband recently did one of those DNA tests, so we discovered he is 18% Irish and we think this is a nice way to connect with this part of us. Well, she laughed coldly. She said my husband and son are absolutely not Irish. I honestly was shocked as I thought she would be really touched. As I said, she will not be able to naturally have children herself, so she can never use this name. When I tried to reason that out, she said she could adopt a baby that wasn't named, even though previously she has told me she has interest in adopting children, not babies. To me it was like she was grasping at straws and just does not want us to use this name out of jealousy or resentment. She was really hurt. I suggested those were her motivations and ended the call with me before she said something she would regret. Her words. She has not spoken to me or responded to my messages since. I don't want to change my son's name. Me and my husband are now very fond of this name and my mom has even embroidered it on a lot of blankets and newborn clothing. My husband thinks I need to choose between this name or my friend as it looks like in the future I can't have both. But it is not a name or my friend. It is my son's name or my friend's non-existent hypothetical son's name. I feels like she is punishing me for being able to have a son when she is unable to. My husband suggested I ask a more neutral audience. Reddit. So, am I the butthole? Did OP act like a butthole? Here's what Reddit thinks. Yikes, you are definitely the butthole. Very insensitive of you. The names you share with your best friend are off limits. End of story. No matters how the circumstances change. That's just being a loyal friend. Every time she has to interact with your child, she will instantly be reminded of how she cannot have a child. Infertility is incredibly heartbreaking and difficult to work through as it is, let alone being reminded of a child that you can't have because your supposed friend named their child your child's name. If you really thought that was going to be a well-received surprise, you are quite out of touch with the incredible psychological burden that infertility can cause for women. You should change the name and apologize for not realizing how cruel this action could be. There are so many good names out there and it's not too late. Embroidery can be reworked. We changed our favorite name like 5 times before we decided on one. Unless you don't value your friendship, then do what you want. Now it's your time to vote on the buttholeness of the headline story. Is the poster a butthole? Let us hear your thoughts. Go to the pinned comment under this video. Please hit the thumbs up on the reply of YDA. You are the butthole if you think the OP could have been nicer. Or press thumbs up on the reply saying NTA. Not the butthole if you are on the same side as OP. Feel free to leave your opinion and reason why you voted for the option you did in the comments section. And join the discussion. For more buttholes, subscribe to Sidebar.